We're going to talk about Obabe talking to another comedian who I don't know. Stephen Colbert is not exactly as funny as he once was. I think liberalism rotted his brain a little bit.
You know, that guy needs a talking to.
Yeah, look, there were a couple of times where you, particularly around counterterrorism issues, where I think it is different when you're on the sidelines. There's certain things that for me were clear, bright line rules. We don't torture, we don't indefinitely hold people. But there were other issues where, as a senator, my attitude was, very hard-nosed. We shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that. And then when you're in the middle of it, you're thinking, okay, but I really don't want this person to blow up a.
Yeah, the entire argument is like, oh no, I grew up. Like, it's silly to expect me to prosecute the war crimes of the previous administration. And that is, again, very patronizing or patronizing. English is such a fucking difficult language, but it's basically like, it's so condescending to be like, you wouldn't get it. And the reason why I don't try to understand where he's coming from, chatter, is because it doesn't matter. I find it to be abhorrent. I find what he did to be horrible. Okay? That's it. And the reality is that I have a little bit of understanding, certainly, that there are forces at play that you constantly have to push back against. If you are doing your best to push back against these forces, whether it be the gross influence of the military-industrial complex has, for example, or the reactionary American exceptionalist cultural attitudes, if you're trying to fix that in America, then that's one thing. And drone strikes is still happening while all of that is going on. And that's one thing. But I'm not going to believe his personal framing. I believe in drone strikes only when there is no civilians. Great technology is required before we should commit. What? No, there is no. No, I don't want America to fucking use drone strikes either. Not like minimizing the civilian casualties. Like, there is no ethical fair trade drone striking. Especially because you can slap the terrorist designation on people and just clap them from thousands of miles away. Oh, okay, well, they're terrorists, so that's fine. You can now just fucking kill them from the sky. Got it. That makes sense. You can't do that.
The problem with the drone program was not that it caused an inordinate amount of civilian casualties, although even one civilian casualty is tragic.
Okay.
The problem is that it starts giving you the illusion that it is not war.
The distance makes it seem sterile.
So the scary part of drone strikes is that while it leads to less collateral damage overall, it leads you to believe that we're not at war. I mean, he's right, but also, like, I don't know, how about no war? Like, but I guess it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to say that because he already justified that, like, the premise he's operating off of here is that, like, no, it's a necessity. Like, it has to happen. I learned things that you do not know, that you're not privy to, that these people deserve it. They deserve to be droned. They deserve to be killed. Doesn't matter if you kill them with a drone strike. Doesn't matter if you kill them with ordnance that you're dropping on top of them. But I learned things that you do not know. And because of that, I used drone strikes, and I used drone strikes instead of, instead of ordnance, or instead of boots on the ground military warfare, when the heart of the argument should be, why is that justifiable? Why are we drone striking? Why are we even considering murdering targets overseas? Like, why is that? That's the real argument that we should be having. You can skip over that part. You can skip over that premise and turn it into like a trolley problem or something, when in fact you're launching off of a false premise, though, that, like, The argument there, the meat of that argument is whether any of it is justifiable or not. And we don't even talk about that. We've moved past it. Everyone is operating under the assumption that, like, no, these people have to die. It's just about killing them in the most ethical way possible. I love how you act like terrorists don't exist, LMAO. Terrorism doesn't occur in a vacuum, okay? And if the way to deal with terrorists is by fucking murdering them, all right, which literally creates more terrorists, that's all you're doing when you do that. But if the way you deal with terrorists by murdering them, then do you understand why, like, ISIS hits, like, Western targets then? No, right? That's completely unacceptable, right? Like, you consider Qasem Soleimani to be a terrorist, even though he is he's a foreign leader. And most people were on board with Donald Trump's execution of Qasem Soleimani with a drone strike. Why? Because he's a terrorist. Well, okay. Well, one, it's literally a fucking designation that you can slap on anything post-mortem or even before you kill them just to justify it. And if that's what we're doing, then America is the #1 terrorist. And America is the #1 terrorist, by the way. Do you just not buy the trolley problem approach that is acceptable in a utilitarian sense? Or that argument isn't subject to enough scrutiny? No, the trolley problem operates on a false premise. If there already is a fucking train, like, you're making it seem like there already is a train. At the end of the trolley problem, there's already a train and some people are going to die. You're either going to kill 3 people or you're going to kill 5 people. You're going to do something to kill 5 people or 3 people rather than if you do nothing and 5 people die. I'm saying, why the fuck do we start the trolley when we saw people on the fucking railroad? Like, on the tracks, we saw people and we started the trolley, and we're not even talking about whether the trolley should have started or not. And we're instead talking about, do we kill 3 or do we kill 5 people?